While I'm stuck indoors and it's raining and it's lockdown because of this coronavirus, I decided to sort of reflect a bit on some fun times looking at emus. Now, I've had the pleasure and the privilege to sketch these guys out in the open. Back in Western Australia a few years ago, I was just wandering around and thought, here's a good opportunity to do a quick sketch. And they're fun because they kind of look like, dinosaurs. They're not that scary because they want to keep their distance. But they are a wonderful looking bird. It's interesting, our culture, our Australian culture and the emu. It's an interesting relationship. I've also done a how to draw emus. If you're interested in drawing an emu, below in the description in this video is a link to the other video where I show you how to draw an emu. And I go step by step through that with instructions. Today I'm going to relax and just do an emu with Indian ink. I might touch it up with a bit of watercolor. So I start off by sketching it all in pencil, just knocking down the basic shapes. Then I get my fine liner brush and a bit of Indian ink and paint as much of it as I can with Indian ink with a paintbrush. On our coat of arms we have an emu and we also have a kangaroo. And it's interesting that this is our national bird and our national mammal, and yet both have been also declared pests in their time, which led us up to the Great Emu War of 1932, where the Australian Army was deployed to go and kill and slaughter as many emus as they could, and they found that they're not that easy to kill. In fact, they used to sort of say they'd shoot a lot of them, they'd just run away. I think probably what they were missing was the actual bird itself. When you look at these guys, a lot of them are all just feathers, and so they're probably just glancing them. However, I think the emus may have won that war because they're still around. Once I've done that, I move in with the nibs. And with the nib, I put in all the fine detail. This takes quite a while. Again, it's very relaxing. Some people do a jigsaw puzzle. I just do a fine detailed drawing to relax and unwind. With Australian culture, the reason it's on the coat of arms, both the kangaroo and the emu, is said that they can only move forward, they can't move backwards, and so Australia should be moving forward. But there's a lot of fun things about the emu, apart from the fact that they look fun. I just think they look like a funny looking bird. I just really like their faces. They look really awesome, and that's why I have to draw one today. They also feature in a bit of Aussie pop culture. There's a song Old Man Emu by John Williamson, and the main lyrics go, "It can't fly, but I'm telling you it can run the pants off a kangaroo." Another fun Aussie song is the Barry McKenzie movies, where the Aussie curse is when they want to curse the Brits. They say, "I hope all your chooks turn to emus and kick your dunny down flat to the grass." So, for those who are unfamiliar with Aussie culture or Aussie slang, chooks means chickens and dunny means the toilet or the restroom. I have heard people say that when an emu comes up to a kangaroo that's laying down, it'll start kicking it. So, yeah, that's kind of funny. Not just doing a lot of damage, the kangaroo just hops away, but it is kind of funny that some of these birds can get a bit cranky. It's probably why they won the Great Emu War. So I'm really getting into the inking now, just loving the detail. One of the things I do here is I try to blend the ink nib with the brush. So whereas the brush has got nice thick expressive strokes, what I do with the nib is I keep working it, making it bolder and bolder, so it's kind of a blending, so you can't really tell where the brush strokes end and where the nibs start. So to do that, you have to join the lines up and put some areas going almost completely to black, and this helps disguise the original brush strokes without losing any of the spontaneity or the expressive brush strokes. If I don't do this, there's too much of a gap between the big bold strokes of the brush and the fine nib work. So that's why I try and do that kind of, I call it a blend, where you're trying to use the brush very, very thin and very gentle in places, and then you use the nibs quite heavily in other places to make it all match up. You want a certain unity or harmonious look through the whole image. Once I've finished all the ink work, I allow the ink to dry for a few hours. I want to make sure the ink is 100% dry before I use an eraser. The Indian ink can sometimes lay there for a good hour or so and not dry, or it can be touch dry but just, form a skin and be wet just underneath the surface. So you got to make sure it's completely dry before you start erasing out the lines. Now, one of the main features of the emu is that really rich orangey red eye, and so I want that to be the real feature, the thing that you notice when you see this. And then the other thing I love about the bird is how scruffy it looks, because its feathers are very primitive feathers and often split. They're not like normal bird feathers. They're certainly not flight feathers. They're probably more what you imagine dinosaur feathers might be. They're a bit scruffier looking, and to have a nice smooth eye in amongst all the scruffiness, I think, is a lot of fun. The other bird I want to draw like that's the tawny frogmouth, which is another great Aussie bird which is very similar, which I may do in a future video. And so the rest of the colours here, there's a little bit of blue in there, but I'm sort of mostly using Payne's grey and a bit of burnt umber as the main colours. They're usually my go-to colours for muted colours, especially in a lot of wildlife art that I do. And because those colours are very much understated, it makes the eye stand out even more. And there's my finished emu. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Stay indoors, keep away from other people, and draw a lot, which is a kind of utopia, really. And I'll catch you in the next video.